Hello, hello, everyone. I am so excited to introduce you to Nu Vang. She is a student currently inside the Born to Coach Training Academy. So she's training to become a professional life coach. And when Nu started the academy, she brought in a very amazing skill set with her of being an expert on human design. And this is something that I've heard about for years, but I've never received a human design reading. So I've asked Nu today to do a human design reading. And it's not going to be the full out reading because we don't have time for that, but it is going to be a sample to give all of you a taste of like, yeah, what happens in a human design reading. And then we're also going to just be teaching you, like what is human design and how to prep for it, and then what happens after the session. So this is going to be like a mini human design reading blended with like a little, what do you say, human design master class as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so with that being said, Nu, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to our audience and tell them, you know, uh, who you are and how you got involved with human design.
Yeah. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so my name is Nu Vang, and I was a teacher for 4 years, and then I just felt this calling to do something different. And so that's when I really switched over to do more self-discovery things and really focusing on like self-discovery, self-love, figuring out who I am. And I was never one who liked personality tests, so I like usually stayed away from that because I felt boxed in. But I found human design when I was in a course, a manifestation course, and it was in one of the modules. And that was the very first experience I had with it. But when I pulled up my chart, it looked very confusing and very intimidating. So I kind of backed away, and then it just kept showing up, kind of like you said, like it just started appearing. Like I've been hearing about it, like through different people, through different groups that I'm a part of online. And I don't know, like all of a sudden, like I just started diving in, like doing self study, following different Instagrams, and then like eventually bought the book, so I like did little steps, and then and it was just so human design is like the first system that really gave me permission to be myself. Like I felt like when I found human design, it was like it just like it landed so well. Like it gave me the language to understand like what I've been going through my whole life. And it was like speaking to my soul. And I was like, oh my God, like I have to learn more. And so that's really when I went into the actual trainings and really understood the system as a whole.
I can so relate to that. I feel that way with astrology. I remember the first time I saw my birth chart in astrology, I was like, this is a whole nother language. There's so many symbols. I don't know what's going on here. So now I'm in an intensive to learn more about it. And it's fun. It's been a process. And I agree with you. I've never really liked the traditional personality types, but for me, astrology has felt like the first thing that really is like, oh, wow, this is me. This explains who I am. And I've had so much more self compassion and acceptance since
Mhm.
learning that. So I have a feeling like I wonder if there might be a crossover between human design and astrology because for some reason there feels like there's kind of similarities between the two. I don't know. Is there any correlation between the two?
Yeah, so I'll go into that when I introduced the system, but yeah, there is.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense to why if I'm attracted to astrology, I'm also feeling very intrigued and attracted to human design too. So
Mhm.
okay, perfect. So yeah, if you could talk to us a little bit more, kind of like, I mean, I know you do like a whole master class on this, but just go maybe a little more detail, like what is human design and why is it important?
Yeah, so like you said, if the watchers they want to dive deeper, I do have a free masterclass that's an hour long. So you guys can definitely go check that out. But yeah, so human design is actually it was founded, it was channeled to this guy called Ruhu in 1987, and then he started teaching it in 1992. So it's a pretty new system, and it combines astrology, the Chinese I Ching, the Kabbalah tree of life, and the chakra system and quantum physics. So it weaves all five systems together to create this chart that you see when you put in your birth information. So that's why, you are exactly right. Like astrology is a big part of human design and the different traits that show up. So yeah. Um, yeah, and so human design is really meant to function as guidelines. I see it as a tool for self-awareness. I really have used it to like become a lot more compassionate towards myself, kind of like you said with astrology, and like it's just self-acceptance, because I felt like for a long time I couldn't accept who I was because I was being told otherwise from the outside that like the way I'm being isn't the correct way, right? So it just allowed me to really accept all parts of me that I always knew was a part of me, but I just felt like I had to like suppress it because it wasn't acceptable. And therefore for a long time I like didn't accept those parts of me. So design like really works and allows you to accept yourself, love yourself, and just really be compassionate towards yourself as well as other people. Because once you understand like maybe your partner or your family's designs, it really opens up your eyes as to like, wow, this is why they they act this way. This is why they make these kinds of decisions, and this is why their energy is like this. And so it really helps not just with your self-awareness, but it helps with your relationships. And that's a really big part that I really also do love. And I was, as I was saying that, um, yeah, so it left me, but yeah, so it's really here to help you become more of who you are, or like just accept more of who you are and move away from who you're not. So when you do your chart, you have your chart of like, this is your blueprint. So human design is the energetic blueprint of you, the energetic design of how your energy works. So it's telling you like, yeah, you were born on this time, so you were imprinted with these qualities, these gifts, these challenges, and then from that, when you're aware of that, you can see that, wow, like I'm not like, for example, for me, like I've always tried to be consistent, like, and have a consistent schedule and have a consistent morning routine, but it's not in my design to be like that, and so I no longer strive to be consistent because my human design is like, yeah, you're not meant to do that. Your energy isn't wired to for you to be like that. So it allows you to move away from like who you're not meant to be. And so I think that's the beautiful part is like really coming back to who you are. And because we've been there's the in human design we call conditioning and deconditioning. So we've been conditioned, like when we were born, like we were all very in alignment, and as life happens and our environment, family, school, society, right, we've been conditioned out of our alignment. And so this whole process of once you learn your design, you really decondition and peel back the layers so that you come back to your truth.
Mm.
uh, would you like to say something?
Yeah, yeah. I love that, and I know that we're the same manifestor generators, and so I really like, and I don't know, maybe it's like different for each person, but I'm sure there is some similarities there. And I love what you said already about the consistency, because I'm also feel like I'm not a consistent person at all, and I need variety. I can't do the same thing, for my morning routine every day. And I tend to beat myself up about that, and like, yeah, why am I not more of a consistent person? So I can already see how this is going to be really helpful for me to just learn more about myself in that way, and find that acceptance. And I know another thing too, and we spoke about this over email because I saw you, or I'm on your email list, and
Yeah.
you had said that you're not like you don't enjoy being in big groups, and I'm the same way, and that's something I really struggled with my whole
Mhm.
life is because I everyone always thinks I'm very outgoing and social, and I am, but more so one-on-one or small groups. And in big groups, I tend to really shut down, and I've never understood why. So I'm just really excited for this reading today. Yeah, to learn these parts of myself that maybe I haven't fully loved and accepted, and I can start to do more of that moving forward.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, so in human design, there's also you might hear me use like these terms of high expression and then low expression. So every like, kind of like the energies that what we're going to be talking about, your blueprint will have high expressions, right? Like you expressing it in the high expression and then the low expression of it. And it's important to mention that your blueprint is your potential. It is the most aligned version of you. So some people may see their chart and have maybe even have a reading or start reading about it online and totally don't resonate with it because they've been so conditioned away from their design. So I haven't really seen too many of I haven't done readings for people who don't resonate, but I've heard of instances where they don't resonate with their design because they've just been so conditioned out of it. So your blueprint is really your potential. So it's really like, taking small steps to really, like I said, peel back the onions layers. Um, and yeah, you do have free will, right, to express your chart, your energies in your chart. And that's why you might be out of alignment. So just because you were born with that imprint doesn't mean that that's why sometimes we say just reading someone's chart, I could meet them and they could be totally like different from what I thought they would be like.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And I love the idea, the concept, human design really uh emphasizes that no one is meant for everyone. So everyone, like, it's called the science of differentiation, because it's like it wants us to accept and embrace our differences and really move away from like homogenization of like us all trying to be like the same, right? So I love that because it's like allows you to be like different, it actually encourages you to be different, and it shows you like different parts of you, different gifts and stuff that you've been um in a way like given to live out, and instead we're chasing something else, that we're not, supposed to be. So yeah, it really brings everything together of like just understanding yourself, your energy, and how you're really meant to be, because human design is a lot about energy and about tuning back into your body, and not so much about like okay, you're a generator, this is what you do, it's how you be.
I could see that would be really helpful being a business owner too, to
Mhm.
not try to like be like everybody else, but yeah, really hone in on your unique gifts and abilities, and that you can really capitalize on that in how you show up with running your business and your brand and all that. And so that's really neat. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I would love for you to tell our audience real quick of like, how does one prep and get ready for a human design reading? And then we can go into the actual reading.
Yeah. Yeah. So on your end, you just need to have your birth time, your birth location, and your birth day. Yeah. So just those three, because it matters because your energy type like will change. Sometimes even a few minutes can make a big difference. So it's a it's really important, as much as you can get the correct birth time, and date and location, and then that's it. You just come and be open-minded, and curious, and see it as like a different tool that you can use, and whatever you resonate with, whatever it's helpful. That's what I always like to say. Whatever is helpful for you, you can take away from the reading, then good. Like whatever you like don't like doesn't resonate with you, you can just leave. So yeah, in terms of preparation, pretty simple.
Okay. So they just email you ahead of time those three things, their birth date, their birth time, and birth location, and then you plug it in and you get the results of their human design chart. And then I guess this next part is which like I said, I already did it years ago. I know there's a free site you can go online. And I guess we can always include that resource in the
Yeah.
show notes as well if people were interested in just like, I guess, even before maybe scheduling a reading with you, if they just want to see, oh,
Uh,
I just want to see like what type I am, and that they could do that for free, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's so many chart generators out there. You just Google like human design chart, and then there's as long as you have your birth time right, it doesn't matter which chart generator you use, you'll come out with the same chart. And when you book with me, I will actually ask you there what your birth information is, so you don't have to send it separately. It's part of the booking process. Yeah.
Got it. All right. Well, I am ready to dive in and look at my chart with you.
Yeah. So before we actually look at the chart, I like to go through some foundations because once we pull up the chart, it can get really distracting. So I usually spend like, a good amount of time on the foundations because if you think about it, it's the foundation before we build on top of that foundation, giving you like more details. So for you, Krista, you are a uh, generator. Okay, so you're a
Oh,
generator. Yeah,
that's right. I think I always think I'm a manifestor generator, but okay. So I'm a generator. Got it.
you are a generator. And yeah, so I'm a manifesting generator, you're a generator. And a manifesting generator is a subgroup, like it branches off of the generator.
Okay. Got
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, so I usually like to share like just like what the generator is, what kind of energy you have, the aura you give off, just touch upon a few of that. So a generator is
I'm gonna
really
take notes, by the way, so I'm getting my
yeah,
favorite.
for sure. Yeah, so a generator is really here to um it's gonna sound a little bit paradoxical to what I said earlier, but uh, it all makes sense. You're here to do things and make things happen here on the 3D reality. So you have yeah, so you're here to do things to really get good at your craft, whatever it is for you, right? You're really meant to find what brings you joy, what lights you up, and from there you really are the type who wants to master and be really good at that craft that that brings you joy. and and you can, because you as a generator, I'm going to bring in what makes you a generator because it's going to be a very big part of our conversation. So as a generator, the reason you are a generator is because you have the sacral center. We'll go over their centers later, but I have to bring in the sacral now because it's very important. Because in human design, I should have mentioned at the beginning, the human design, there's 5 energy types. So there's only 2 energy types that has the sacral defined. And the sacral is, put it simply, it's like battery. It's a life force energy. It's like the battery that allows you to work and just have energy throughout the day. So because you are because you have your sacral defined, you um, you you are a generator. You're either a generator or a manifesting generator if you have that sacral defined. And the sacral is the life force energy, the battery that allows you to do work. And because you have that defined, that's why generators have that capacity to start something and do something and actually be able to sustain it and get things done. And I think for generators, some of the challenges, no, we're not going to go to the challenges yet. I want to talk about your aura. So, like, if you think of aura, like just like the energy field around you, is when you step into a room, the aura of a generator is open and enveloping. So it's actually a very warm energy. It's very welcoming, like a lot, like it makes people feel comfortable, like approaching you, talking to you. You just have that aura, and other types don't. So we're not going to go into other types, but your aura is special to you and the manifesting generators. So yeah, having the open aura um helps with the next things that I'm gonna talk about. So yeah, so another thing, so the challenge, now I'll go to the challenge of like, if you have a lot of energy, oh no, not if, because you have a lot of energy, it's and people can see that, like especially people who are not generators, they can sense that you have like life force energy, and they will tend to like ask you to do things for them, or like ask you to like help with this or help with that. And like as generators, because you have the energy, you have the capacity, sometimes it's you would do it, like sometimes it's almost like it's it feels better like in the body to use that sacral energy to do something than to actually not. Like if you sit with the energy all day and you don't work out and you don't do anything with that energy, it's kind of like, what do you call it? It builds up in you. And like I've experienced it where I couldn't go to sleep because I had like so much energy. And so being discerning of what you say yes to, because you have such, you have that sacral and you have that energy. And so be discerning in terms of like what you say yes to, who what you commit to. Because I do find a lot of generators, because they have the energy and the capacity, they say yes to a lot of things. And when you say yes to a lot of things, if you think about it, like there's no space for other things to come into your life that might be more aligned for you. So really being cognizant of, what am I saying yes to? Like, am I lit up by this? Because your sacral is kind of like like a tool that will help you figure out whether you're lit up by something or not. So the way the sacral works is it only responds in the present moment. It responds to in a yes or no way. So have you, I know you said you looked a little bit about your design. Like, do you know anything about the sacral and how it works?
I think I remember, and I don't know if this is generator or manifestor generator, but there's something like, yeah, if you're trying to decide if you want to do it or not, there's like, you'll feel like a pulling towards it or kind of like a backing away. Is that resonating?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And so the sacral will, yeah, like will communicate to you in whatever way it does, because it's a little different for everyone, right? Like how they experience their sacral. But for me, I feel an expansion or a contraction. Some people actually feel pulled towards, forward or backwards. Some people might use their voice and say, like, so it shows up differently for different people, but like that's how I've experienced it. Um, so what has your experience been like, if in terms of your sacral?
I mean, yeah, there's certain people when I'm around them where I literally feel like their energy is like almost like moving me back, or I don't know if it's like myself, but I feel that like and then I feel like when I'm talking to certain people, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm being pulled in. And I always love to use my body to make decisions. And I teach other people how to do that because I feel like your body can't lie. You know, your head can tell you stories, but your body is just very quick and responsive. And you can learn so much from just listening to your body. And I also feel that way as well. Like if I feel constricted or contracted, that's a no. If I feel expanded and light, it's a yes.
Mhm. Yeah, so that's that's exactly it. So your sacral will always be guiding you in terms of what's in alignment for you or not. And a lot of times people who, like for me, I was really conditioned away from listening to my body. And so I go to my brain, to my mind to make decisions. And so at the beginning of my journey, I was so tapped out of my sacral. I was like, I don't even know what it feels like, So I really had to retrain and reconnect my to my sacral. And I do, like, when we go into an actual session, if my client is struggling with that, then we do spend a little bit of time of like figuring out how to reconnect to your sacral, because that is the foundation. Um, because that's going to be your body communicating to you what is in alignment and what decisions, and like what, who is right for you and all that stuff. So that's a very important piece that we make sure we um figure out at the beginning. So for you, you have your sacral, but your sacral um is not your authority. So I'm going to go into authority now, in terms of so authority is how you make decisions. Like, how do you make decisions that are aligned for you, for your type, because you are an emotional generator. So you do have the sacral to help you make decisions in the moment and figure out what's right or wrong, aligned or not. But for more bigger decisions, you're going to have to wait. So as an emotional, with an emotional authority, the 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 way you make decisions, it sounds so simple, but like, is to wait, because in human design we say, you will go through what are called emotional waves, so experiencing ups and downs. And so when you are like excited about something, it's not the right time for you to make a decision. When you are like, angry, or like just in the lower vibration, it's also not the correct time for you to make a decision. But when you're neutral, from a neutral place, then it's like aligned for you as an emotional generator to make a decision. But you have to ride those waves, or ride the ups and downs, and before you get to a place where you feel like you have the aligned decision for you. And when you check, and because you have the sacral, like, if you think about it, like, as your writing, as your, like, if you, let's say, you have to make a decision today, but you want to take a few days, so from today to like tomorrow, you could be experiencing some highs and lows, and throughout that time your sacral will be communicating to you, and more information will be coming in to kind of help inform you as you try to make your decision, you go through your wave. And I think, as an emotional authority, depending on like how in tune people are to their emotions and their ups and downs, it can take them a while to figure out like what their wave is like, and how long it takes for them to go through certain emotions. And so, but the basis of it is, you don't make a decision when you're high or low, but from a neutral place. And from a neutral place, that's like very nuanced. It's very different for every person, right? So it's really gonna depend on the unique individual. So for you, how does that resonate for you in terms of like when you make decisions?
Yeah, I'm glad we're going over this because it does take me a long time to make decisions. And again, that's another thing that I kind of beat myself up about. And I guess I just am already like working with how I operate, where I think I'm just letting myself get to a more neutral place. Because you're right, I never buy things in the moment when I'm excited, or I never make decisions in the moment. And a lot of times I will make, if I'm like in a really bad low spot, I will make decisions, and I found that that's not good either. So um I've talked with my therapist, like I have this personal rule for myself that I give myself, if I get really like triggered, I give myself 24 hours before I respond or make a decision. And I'm actually like, I had a situation with a really good friend last week, to where I'm like, do I need to step away from the relationship? And I'm trying to figure out how to make that decision. And so now, knowing this, I feel like, because I'm still kind of like in the low of that, so I think I'm going to give it just more time to get to a more neutral place before
Mhm.
I make a big decision like that. So this is really good to know about myself, even though I was already operating in this way, just like having more awareness around it now.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like that's what a lot of people who have emotional authority feel like. Because sometimes we're like pressure to make a decision, right? And so, I what I always encourage it for people who struggle with waiting, it and what they're just used to like giving an answer is just basically saying like if someone asks you a question or like if someone wants you to do something, just practice saying I'll get back to you, right? Like just having that tool instead of like feeling like, yes, So just saying just practice saying like I'll get back to you, like give me 24 hours, So practicing that was really honoring your authority because you do need that time to really ride out the wave and because we do believe that as you wait, more information will come to you and it will really inform your decision. So yeah, so that's your authority. But the thing is, it's important to note that you do have the sacral, so you will feel sometimes, you will feel maybe you might feel like in the moment already because your sacral is like yes, or like no. So just be aware that because you have the sacral defined, it will always be active. And then you also have I'm not going into the centers, but you also have your spleen center defined, which is your center for fear and intuition and like survival. So because you also have that defined, you have all three, and those, right, like intuition is like in the moment, like you just know, and then the sacral is like yes, no, right, but you're actually meant to wait. So you can kind of see like how those can be a little hard,
Yeah.
but if you get used to like acknowledging and being aware of your intuition and like the sacral responses, but still then honoring your emotional authority as well. So yeah, I just wanted to also bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very when I'm making decisions and not necessarily like what am I going to eat today or what am I going to do for working out, but kind of like bigger decisions. It's a very complex process in my head of like yeah, you're right. There's a lot of times I do know in the moment, but then I'm also be like, okay, but you know what? Yeah, let's wait it out. And then you're right. I feel like my body responds. And so there's just a lot of things going on in my mind and my body. And
Yeah.
um,
Wow.
but I mean, overall, with like receiving coaching and therapy and astrology and really getting to know myself, I've gotten to this better place of knowing. Like I said, I'm kind of already everything you're saying. I'm doing all the things already, but it's just really cool that you're kind of like putting a name to it. I just didn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah, you're already doing it. And like, it's really cool to see that, that you're aware of like, oh yeah, like and my intuition and then my like sacral, like just my gut response in the moment and but still honoring your emotional authority is amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is great. I'm loving this so far.
Yeah, so that's your authority. So now we're going to go into your strategy. So strategy is how you move through life with least resistance. So as a generator, your strategy is to respond. So I'll expand on that a little bit. So to respond is basically um to respond in the moment of what is in front of you, to respond to things that are outside of you. So whether that's if you see like a billboard, if you see something on Instagram, right? Like it could be anything that's outside of you, that as long as it's not coming from your own like logical mind. Um, so responding. So how I like to tell my clients is you're a generator and your aura is open and developing, so you're naturally magnetizing people, opportunities to you, and once you magnetize them and they're in your aura, then it's you use your emotional your gut response, obviously because it's in the moment, to respond, like like maybe say like, oh yeah, give me 24 hours or whatnot. And yeah, and so you use your authority to respond to the situation, to the person in front of you, and that's really how your energy would work best in terms of and I think I find that this goes a lot more with like maybe when you're doing something for work, or that has not work, that has to do with other people, right? So if someone else is involved, like you responding is correct. But like if you want to eat something, you don't need to, wait for that, something to, for you to respond to before you go eat. So it's when you use your strategy when you're interacting with the world and interacting with people and situations. And so it's just to respond. So that is the strategy. Respond using your authority.
Got it.
Yeah. So I'm like watching the clock. Let me move on. So that's like the basics, right? So your type, your energy type is generator. Your authority is emotional, how you make decisions, and strategy is how you navigate life through responding to things around you. Because your aura is naturally magnetizing things into your your aura. So I do. There's also what we call themes. So there's a signature theme, which is an in alignment theme. So this is like when you're doing things that are in alignment with you, you will feel a theme of satisfaction. So usually I like to tell my clients to uh to tune into what it feels like in your body to be satisfied, to have that satisfaction feeling, because again, everything is very based on your body and how you feel. So not like, oh, let me think about like what's satisfying, like really like, okay, like how does satisfaction feel in the body, right? So that's like when you're in alignment. And then when you're out of alignment, we call that the not self. And your not self is frustration. So if you find yourself feeling frustrated, like it's just, and these themes are signposts really to just help you navigate everyday life, right? Like decisions that you make, experiences that you come into. So yeah, again, frustration of like how that feels in your body. So as you're, moving through life, you can realize, oh, I'm feeling like frustrated here. Like, let me take a step back and assess and figure out what's going on. Or like, oh, I'm feeling really satisfied. Like, I must be on the right track. So that's kind of how we use the themes. And then I'm going to move on to your profile. So profile, I find we're going to touch into why you feel like why you like smaller groups. So your profile is a 1-3, and your profile is your personality, how you relate to other people, how other people see you. It really is like your personality on how you navigate life. And a 1-3, so it's made up of two numbers, and the first number is more of the conscious energy, more of the energy that you like. If I tell you about your line 1, you will like probably identify with it really easily. And the 3 is going to be unconscious energy, or just how your body is, how your body moves through life, and how other people experience you. So I'll go over what the 1 means. So the 1 is called the investigator or the researcher. So the 1 is really all about like gathering information. It's a foundational line. That's what we call it in human design. So it's a foundational line where you just like to have the information. Like it feels good to you to know the information, and before you take a leap, or before you do something that might, that's more on the bigger side. So the investigator, researcher, information gatherer, that's kind of like the names. And then the 3 is called the experimenter. So that's really what it sounds like. So trial and error, like that's how you learn. You learn through doing things, just like going for it, and like and making mistakes, and like learning from your mistakes, and just like that's how you learn. That's how you move through life. And yeah, I think that's pretty much like the personality of those two. Is the 1 is the researcher, like information, and then the 3 is like, I'm gonna do things, like I want to like I'm not just gonna like read about it all day, right? Like I have to go out and do it and actually um yeah. So I feel like I've been talking for a while. Would you like to what
Yeah, no, I love knowing that. I was just thinking, like, before I became a life coach and signed up for coach training, like, I was researching about the International Coaching Federation and what, you know, just I remember just doing a lot of research and talking to a lot of people before I signed up for coach training. And then but I didn't realize that about myself. Like it's again, it's like these things I'm already doing. I just kind of didn't have awareness around it. And I never like make big decisions in the moment. Like if I were to get on like a consult and I was thinking about, joining like a 6 month, $10,000 coach training program, like I would
Yeah.
never say yes right away. I would always be like, let me think about it. Let me come back
Oh,
after I do my research. And
yeah.
then, and you're right. For the three for me, um, that's how I've been so successful as a coach is I just like jump right in. I try things. I make lots of mistakes. I learn from my mistakes. I grow. And I am not afraid to like, you know, get it wrong and because that's how I move through things the quickest and I've always been that way and I've never understood like why other people aren't that way, but so this is kind
Yeah.
of like giving me compassion for if people don't operate that way, I don't have to push that on them because a lot of times sometimes when I'm teaching people I'm like, yeah, the bet you just got to get started. You just got to jump right in and you're going to make lots of mistakes and you've probably heard
Yeah. Yeah.
I talk about that in class too, right? I'm like in the skills lab, all right, you're just going to make lots of mistakes. But I think it's good to know too that that really benefits me and maybe that wouldn't benefit everyone. But yeah.
Yeah, because there are 6 profile types.
Okay.
And I do want to mention, even though you're 1-3, um, within your chart, you have all the numbers, you have all the profiles, but they just show up differently in different planetary placements and in different gates. So, but that's like advanced stuff. But I do want to mention that you have the profile line 4 7 times. So that's a lot. Because you only have the line 1 5 times and you only have line 3 4 times. Yet you have line 4 7 times.
Hmm.
So that's where you enjoying small groups comes in, because line 4 is all about meaningful relationships, intimacy, connecting with smaller groups, one-on-one and small groups, and just having a tight knit community. That's the 4. So um that's what I wanted to let you know, is like that's where your I guess your desire for having those small groups comes in, is the 4 that lives in your chart, even though it's not part of like your profile. Yeah. So
Got
yeah, and I also want to mention your split definition. So definition is basically how energy flows in your chart. So this is, I'm going to pull up your chart because you'll see why um the flow of the energy, or how the energy flows. Okay. So, okay, you see your chart?
hmm
Yeah. So, um, the you have a triple split. So that means that your energies are split up. So if you go up, if you see up here, can you see my cursor?
Yep.
Yeah. This energy center, your head and your ajna, up here, they are connected through that channel, and that makes it one group of energy. And then you go down here to the will center, which connects to this center, um, which connects to this right here and this. So that's like another group of energy, right? Yeah, so you don't have a triple split. My bad. You have a double split, but you have a wide split. That's it. So so you see how this is all the way up here, and then you have all the energies down here. So they're very separated. So if you think about it as a meeting, like a meeting, you have all 9 centers having a meeting, and all these centers, they understand each other great because they have energy flowing from one to the other like very smoothly through all these channels. Yet they don't understand these guys up here at all, because they're like, way over there, right? They have just like from another planet. And so when you brought up that like when you make decisions, it just sounds like there's a lot going on. Well, not only do you have like, those the spleen, the sacral, and the emotional center, you also have a wide split. So that does mean you take longer to make decisions because you have to really allow for the energies to really make sense, and you take time to make sense of stuff because there is a split in your energy in the energy flow. Does that make sense?
So much sense. Yes.
Yeah, so that is what I have to say for the definition. And then I'm going to quickly go over the energy centers, so you have an idea of what each center really is, really represents. So let me, oops. Okay, so I'm going to start at the top. So at the top, we have your head center. Some people call it the crown, and it's the center for inspiration, thoughts, and questions. And then we go down to the ajna, which is the center for concepts, thinking, answers, beliefs. They're formed there. And then this energy center right here is the throat, which is like communication, manifestation. And then this center right here, the diamond, is the G center. So it's the center for love, direction, identity. So those are the energies of that center. And then this one right here is the ego slash will center. So this center holds the energies of willpower, self-worth, and self-esteem. So that's that one. And then down here, we kept talking about your emotional center, and this is it, the one right here in brown over here on the right, and that's your emotional center. So it's basically the center for all emotions. And as one of the human design teacher says, it's the center that really makes humans human because of the all the emotions that live in this center. And if we move to the middle, we have here, this is the sacral center. So this is the center of workforce, life force energy, reproduction, battery. So that's the sacral. And then we go over here on the left side here is the spleen. So that's where your intuition lives, and instinct, right? Physical survival, fears, because it's the oldest energy center, and it's really there to keep us alive. And then on the bottom here, we have the root center, which is the center for pressure and initiation, just to like get things started. So those are the 9 energy centers. And obviously, as you can see here, there's within each center, a center is either colored or not colored. And color basically means that that's what you are here to really share with the world. And here, that's the consistent energy for you. That's where we like to, if you want to look at your gifts and your strengths, that's where we would look. And then where you have it not colored in is where you're going to be learning. When you have it open, you absorb energy from other people who you are around. So, and you're really here to be wise in these areas because you're going to experience them differently from different people, and you're going to be learning about the throat center, the communication. You're going to be learning from other people. So that's like the main difference between the two. And so yeah, I feel like I kind of rushed through that a little bit, but I know that's only like a short version, right? Because there's there's a lot more, like, because I when in a meeting in the session, we would go into the gates inside each center, and then the channels that bridge go from one center connecting to the other. And so that's what we're not covering here today is the channels and and the gates that live within each energy center.
I mean, I just from this mini reading, I already got so much information. So, and maybe that says something in my human design chart too, is like I can only really absorb small thing or like a small amount of information at one time. And then if I have too much, my brain gets overwhelmed. So I think this is actually perfect for me.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Um, I did have a question. I remember when I was watching your masterclass and you were talking about like different people's like energy levels and like some people aren't meant to do a 9 to 5 job and um I'm curious what because I've always felt like I've always beat myself up with like I just felt like I'm not the 9 to 5 person. Like I can really focus for like maybe like 1 to 2 hours and then I have to go take a walk or do yoga and then I'll come back and then I'll work for a couple more. Like I'm working like that all throughout the day. And I'm just like, thank God I have my own business because like I could never work for someone else. Like you can't really do that when you work for someone else. So is there anything like that that shows up in my chart that like supports that way that I'm already operating?
Well, we would have to look into like the gates, but
Oh,
just from what you're saying, some possibilities could be that's just like you have the capacity, like you have the energy to do things, but your energy will be drawn to do things differently. So you like it sounds like you follow your energy, right? Like if you're doing this thing for a little while and then you feel good, then you and then you shift your energy. So you listening to your energy, that is like, just because you're a generator doesn't mean you are meant to work 9 to 5, So it's it so that's what comes up for me in terms of, yeah, so of you like having the energy to do things, but maybe you just like to is it that you get tired or you just done, like you just not interested anymore?
both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm just not like a push like, sometimes I'll see people like, "Oh, I stayed up till midnight working on this project," like, that'll just never be me. I can't do that. Like, yeah, because 'cause I'll, like, physically get tired, and then I just, like, get bored and like, I have to switch activities constantly.
Yeah, yeah. So, I would have to look into your chart. Like, I can definitely look and then email you in terms of like what I find. But yeah, like certain things like that, because the chart there will be conundrums where you're like one way, and then but then like it contradicts because you have this other thing too. So it can get really complicated. But if that, yeah, like I definitely look into that for you, especially because you do have that question. But yeah, um
But yeah, I did wanna say yeah, and that's totally fine. You can get back to me with that. That is kinda something I just find that, like, I judge myself for. I'm like, "Oh, I would never look at all these people who can, like, work 9 to 5," and I just don't operate like that. Um, but I do see now why you don't I was like, "When am I gonna get to see my chart?" And I see why you hold off doing that because like, as soon as I saw it, I was like my brain started going a million different directions.
yeah.
So I really appreciate the way you structure this where you talk first about the foundations and then you show the chart. So I'm just really glad you did it that way.
Yeah, yeah, and,
Yeah.
as you can see, there's a lot there, so, um, I like there's an I do an energetics of you reading where we do what we did here, plus the, centers and the gates and the channels, but then I also do a different type of reading where it's like, it's a life purpose reading, so we go into, like, the planetary placements because people can come in with, right, like if they already feel like they have a good sense of awareness around their energy and they just want to figure out their life purpose, then that's why I offer a different type of reading. Where here, like you see on the left side, there's the red squares, and then on the right side, there's the black squares. Those are all planets and the different like nodes and the sun and the earth, and within those are different gates. And so uh in the life purpose reading we go into like, okay, your sun is in gate 60, that means that you're here to radiate gate 60, and like your earth and like your moon is what you're motivated by, so you're motivated by the gate of 51. And so that gives people more like of like it goes more in depth. It's more into like the different purposes of what they're motivated by, what they're here to communicate, right? What their gifts are with like Jupiter, and then what their challenges are with with Saturn. So there are specific gates that are placed in these the planets.
And
So
these are all astrology symbols, right?
yeah, yeah. So this is where the astrology comes into play.
Yeah, I recognize a lot of these.
Hmm.
Hmm, cool.
Yeah.
Right. So, did we talk about like what normally happens after a human design reading? Like, did you start to go into that yet?
No, no.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so after the reading, I usually just tell the clients because there's a lot of information, right? So I just tell them to like just to really like let it integrate, like become aware. Just awareness is really big. Just be now that you're aware, like, oh, this is how my energy works, this is how I respond to this is how I make decisions, and really just watch yourself over the next few days, weeks, right? Experiment with the new information, and then that's like kind of like the next step after that. And then I also do, offer like ways to work with me afterwards if like I have an integration call, which is basically like come in with all the questions of like how can I apply everything that I just learned and like into my life, like how to actually apply it and use it, because that's when it's really the most powerful, is when you're able to apply the information. So I have the integration call. I also have like just coaching around your human design, and then also I have like learning in depth about your human design for 3 months. So those are the different ways to, after the reading. But yeah.
I could really see how the skill of life coaching would come into play with something like this because, like you said, you're bringing so much new awareness to the surface, and then it's like, what do I do with all this information? And then I already like my brain is already starting to go to some like things in life that I'm like, oh, I would want like deeper support around that. So I really do see how life coaching, pairs really well with this.
Yeah. Hmm.
Cool. Okay. Um, yeah. Anything else that the audience should know before we start to wrap up?
Mm, no, I just like to say that like there's a lot of information on about different parts of your chart that you can find online. So like if you are not ready for a reading, you want to do your own research, you definitely can. And that's where I started. But having someone who understands the system and can really like help you understand it and the way I explain it. I've definitely had clients say, well, like I read it online, I couldn't understand it, right? But like when I express it, in the way that I do, because every human design reader is a little different in how they approach the system and how they interpret the information. But I think once you're ready to really like dig a little deeper and really have someone who you can talk to back and forth and ask questions, then that's when I say like, find someone who you resonate with and feel comfortable around to have a reading.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, how would people, after watching this or listening to this, how would they get in contact with you? And do when they do get in contact with you, like, do you recommend that people start out with like just like a basic human design reading, or do you recommend people like kind of purchase the whole package right away? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, tell us more of those kind of details.
Right. Yeah. So I run my business mostly mainly on Instagram. So I'm at I am New Vang, and I'm sure you can provide a link for them for the Instagram. But yeah, on my Instagram, I have the links to all the human design offers that I have going on. And then I also have a website, so I also send that to you so you can put it in the show notes as well. And your question about like where to start, right? It's really depending on like where the client is coming in. If they're just totally brand new, then yeah, like kind of like a foundation of what we did today. But if they've been kind of like doing their own self-study and they want to dive into like if they have more like just questions, then that integration call is really helpful. But I think just especially if you're not sure where to start, like I think just message me and we can figure out like, okay, this is the best option for you right now, because then I like other than the integration call and the readings, then I have like the bigger programs, right? The bigger packages of my program called Align by Design, and that's a one-on-one coaching. But it's really what it's to align you to your design, and that's over 12 weeks, over a span of 12 weeks, and we meet once a week to really dive in, and that's for people who like really want to dive deep into, and then dive deep and integrate. So I'm teaching and coaching.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
I can
So and then
imagine.
I
Yeah,
yeah,
I would
and
say,
then just
imagine after like 12 weeks of doing that, you would just walk away knowing so much more about yourself and being so empowered and just making, you know, more confident decisions and
Mhm.
probably just looking at the world from a new perspective with knowing all this information.
Yeah, it's very liberating. Like it's amazing, obviously, because I'm teaching it and I love it, and like I incorporate it, all the time. Every like I always see things through the lens of human design now, and it's like I don't use it to like limit myself. I really use it to like expand me. So like definitely, I never want human design to feel like, oh, I'm a generator. I'm supposed to do this. I can only do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really use it as a tool to
Yeah.
expand. Mhm.
That is sometimes I see with astrology when people get their birth chart readings, they'll be like, well, it says I'm this way in my birth chart reading. Like, I have like lots of wounding around money. And then, and then I see people kind of like define themselves by that of like, well, so I'm never going to get over this. I came here to this planet with this wound, my
Mhm.
Chiron in this. So I'm just never going to be able to get through this. So I like what you said that like, it's not to limit you or box you in, but expand and give you a tool because I guess it really could go either way.
Yeah, yeah, and also one thing I wanna mention is that just because, you have like, because you have 2 centers that are undefined, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, right? Just because you don't have those 2 energies, like met some clients where they're like, oh, like I don't have that many centers to find, like they see it as a bad thing. But like when we go into the readings, I go through like what are actually the gifts of having an undefined center, right? So I help people see it in a way where it's like it's all perfect, like you are perfect, like your design is, there is no like this is bad. It's really how you see it and how you choose to live out that expression, and you get to decide, you get to choose.
Well, thank you so much. This has been the highlight of my day, and I'm so excited to, send people your way. And I know you're for our upcoming retreat for the Born to Coach Training Academy. You're going to do a human design reading for all of the students and do a
Yeah.
workshop. So that's going to be amazing. And I'm just so grateful that this came into your life and you're sharing this with the world and others. And it's such a beautiful gift. So thank you, Neil.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to share it with more people, and just like, people, I feel like it's just help raise the consciousness and just the joy and love of like the collective as a whole. So it's my pleasure. And thank you for, the opportunity to like share.
Always, of course. Have a great rest of your day, New, and thank you so much.
Yeah, you too, Krista.
Bye.
Bye.